Welcome everybody to, I think it's must be week or month 3 of captivity. We've been in this COVID situation for, quite some time now. And I think most of us are like me where I can't, I struggle to remember what day it is. But all that aside, I think when you look at what's happened over the past 2.5 months or so at RB, we continue to see, quite frankly, astounding success, with our auctions, both our live and our online auctions. As we started out on this journey, after the world shut down, obviously, RB has historically been known as a live auction brand. But, for the past, 3-5 years, with the acquisition of Iron Planet, even before, we've been steadily building out our online technology, and the fruits of those efforts were extremely apparent in the last, 2.5 months. We've seen, record website traffic, as folks have shifted their buying behaviors online. We've seen, record attendance at our auctions, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Record account creation on the site. We're up triple digits year over year with people creating accounts. And it's not just substitution. It's not just people who would have gone to the site, to the live sale and have shifted their activities online. What we've seen is the really actually, new people raising their hands, so to speak, and participating in the auctions. We've seen a very different mix of buyers come to our sales now because they're online only. Pricing continues to be strong. Ken, we'll talk about that. But, when you go back and look at some of the things we did over the past couple of years to prepare, ourselves for this moment, you can see them, standing tall in this situation. Obviously we've got, a lot of amazing people, on the front lines who are out there every day, getting the equipment at the sites, inspecting the equipment, making it ready for sale. We've got the live auctioneers doing remote work, and it's all come together with the online technology. And, if you look at some of the things we've done, we've made it easier to register. We've invested a lot of money in our search technology. We've actually taken some of the Iron Planet online technology, this thing we call Priority Bid, and we actually, we launched that last September to allow people to bid at the live auctions anytime they want. Just today we had our Nashville sale. Before the live auctioneer came onto the mic, 80% of the items in the Nashville sale had bids on them. The one item with the most bids had over 300 bids. And this is before the auction even started. So with our online technology, with the website, with the mobile app, we've made it easier for people to bid anywhere, anytime, from any place, right? From their home, from their laptop, from their mobile phone. And so, once again, we're seeing all of this sort of come together in a perfect storm in the performance of the auctions. We've utilized, we've always had, those of you familiar with RB, we've always had this towel functionality. We've actually, we use it at our live sales for the smaller lots. We've taken that functionality and we're now using that for our ag sales in Canada, and in Europe. We use that for our European sales. We're seeing great performance there. And what we've coupled this with, right, is not only the performance of the auctions themselves, but we've shifted the way we go after buyers. And, that shift has been underway for a number of years, right? We've been gradually shifting to more and more of a digital approach. My background, right? eBay, Google, we brought in, or refocused people on going after some of the new digital channels, Instagram, Facebook, Google, online retargeting with companies like Criteo and others. And as we built up expertise in this channel, right, or these channels, we've always, this has always been in place. So when COVID hit, it was really just a matter of stepping on the gas, right? And that enabled us to sort of drive the traffic to make sure that the buyers out there got to the sales, even though they were online only. So all of this has come together, right, at this time. We're heading into, the end of the quarter and the start of Q3, and, we've got some record sales coming up. And, we're seeing, once again, like I said, we're seeing record traffic, record registrations, and we just don't really see this. We see this continuing, on into the rest of the year. Whether we open up, whether we remain shut down, we feel extremely confident that the tools, the websites, the processes, and all of that is in place right now to continue to drive success for our consignors, whether we're online only or whether we go back to running the live auctions. But rest assured, we're looking at this every single day, and we continue to optimize, innovate, and improve on the behalf of our consignors, and we couldn't be prouder of what has transpired over the last several months. So given that recap of our marketing efforts, I think it's important to talk about, where we actually see the actual results, and that's in the pricing, at our sales and the pricing we see in the industry overall. I'm happy to be joined by Ken Calhoun, who looks at this stuff day in and day out. He's our vice president of data analytics at Ritchie Brothers, and Ken, he's the author. His team is the author of the pricing report. So Ken, why don't you talk a little bit about what you guys are seeing from a pricing standpoint in the industries we participate in?
Great, thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. Ken Calhoun, a few miles up the road from Matt out here in California. And delighted to chat with you about pricing. I think it's a good follow-on to what Matt just described. We look at pricing really closely. On a daily, weekly basis, we are monitoring pricing around the globe at our events. We're looking across categories, and we're using, we're trying to triangulate from a few different directions in terms of what we think is going on with respect to pricing. So the first one is just around our own expectations of what machinery should be achieving at the auctions. And, we have been seeing consistent since, for the last couple of months, 2.5 months, we have seen, very strong pricing that has, exceeded our expectations, differently than we see, normally. So, we've been very pleased with that. Now, you could say, well, maybe just expectations lowered, and maybe they lowered in Europe, and maybe they lowered in Canada and the US, and that's why you're actually seeing that strong performance. So we have another way that we look at it, which is that we run what we call mix adjusted price indices, and these are being published in our monthly Ritchie Brothers Used Equipment Market Trends, free report, which you can go sign up for, and delighted for you to receive that on a monthly basis. About 10 days into following the month, we are publishing a new index for the preceding month, and we just published last week the report for May, and pleased to see that while prices are down on a year-on-year basis, about 3% in construction, heavy equipment, and about 9% in transportation, heavy trucks, truck tractors. We are seeing, stability in that pricing, and actually some moderation of the deflation, which means that the year-on-year price decline is getting less as we move forward, which is encouraging, and it aligns with what we're seeing at the events. The third thing that we do is we have something called Algo at Ritchie Brothers. We've been working on this for 3-4 years, which is a machine learned technique, a statistical technique to predict prices. And we do this on a vast majority of the assets that we sell through both the IP and the RB channels. We recently updated that model, and the predictions have increased as a result of that update. And what that update is based on is the most recent data. So it's also saying that the model is starting to predict price increases versus what it would have predicted last month. And so all of these, we're looking at all three of these factors and others to closely monitor pricing, and we feel really good about that. And we can see, as Matt described, some of the underlying demand drivers that we think are contributing to this. Record registrations, website traffic. We look at bidding activity, we're at historic highs. Watch listing activity, we're at historic highs. So it makes sense that those things all sort of move together. The other interesting trend that Matt alluded to, but we've also been looking at, is our end user participation. And what we've been seeing through the COVID crisis is that we have much higher percentage of end user participation where we can measure it well, and particularly in the U.S. and in Europe, really event by event, we are seeing greater participation pretty much across the board, across categories, from end users, which I think is also very encouraging with respect to and driving some of that positive direction in pricing. So, we continue to monitor it. I think we're obviously in, kind of a once in a generation sort of situation right now. None of us have ever seen a business situation quite like this. So, not sure what's going to happen in the future, but, so far, the signs are very positive. And I think, much of what Matt talked about, in addition to the demand drivers, the adoptions of the new online formats and the continuing great work that the frontline teams are doing at the sites themselves to make the equipment available for inspection and whatnot, is really just enabling the commercial machinery to roll forward successfully.
No, thanks, Ken. And I think, look, this is just, we are in a different, as Ken pointed out, as I've talked about, we're in a different world right now. But, rest assured, we continue to monitor this day in, day out, hour in, hour out. And the great thing is, we have the tools in place for us to monitor this and adjust accordingly. So in addition to, obviously, the online metrics and the, Ken talked about, all the work we do in looking at equipment pricing and so forth. One of the other things that we've really started to pay a lot more attention to and give focus to is what's going on in the macro environment. What's going on with the general economic indices and how could they be affecting pricing or the various sectors that we deal with. And let me introduce Sameer Rathod, who looks at this for us. And, he comes to us from a number of financial institutions and has been working with us over the past year. Sameer looks at, this types of data, and he's always sending us stuff that, kind of make sure, whoa, that's interesting. I never knew that before. So Sameer, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing, 2 months into this situation, what you're seeing with, the sentiment out there in the industry, some of the interesting, economic indicators you're looking at, give the group here a sense of, hey, what you've seen over the last 2 months and, what might be coming over the next, couple quarters.
Okay, thanks, Matt. In terms of the macro factors, we have seen a number of things improve from mid-April when COVID-19 was really the dominant narrative. So if you look at a number of leading indicators or real-time indicators that we look at, a few that I'd mentioned here, everything suggests that things continue to improve here in the last 30 days. So one of the things we look at are freight rates. So if you look at truck stop data, rate per mile, or even the demand for trucks has picked up dramatically here in the last 2 to 4 weeks. We also look at real-time indicators such as telematics, downtimeindex.com or there's a number out there, and they all suggest a slow, steady improvement since the second and third week of April. More broadly speaking, if you look at the stock market, that continues to respond quite well. People are optimistic that COVID-19 is, might have a very deep trough, but it's temporary in nature and continues to respond quite nicely to monetary stimulus and physical stimulus. Anecdotally, we've also heard from a number of our sales force that customers are becoming more confident, and what we track internally shows that the mood has improved dramatically in terms of perceived customer sentiment here in the last 30 days. So overall, the picture here looks much better, and it continues to improve slow and steady.
All right, thanks, Sameer. As you can see, a lot of interesting insight there. So once again, this is going to be a wrap for this installment of our podcast. The reason we do this is we just wanted to create a way to, once again, we miss talking to you folks at the auctions, sharing information and so forth. So we thought this would be an interesting way to try to just keep the dialogue going. We'll continue doing these in the series, probably once every 3 weeks, a month, that sort of thing. And then, as always, right, if you have more questions or if you're looking for these tools or looking for this data, you can find them at rbassetSolutions.com or just email us at dataproducts@ritchiebros.com. Once again, thank you, everybody, and stay safe out there.